Hi folks, my name's David Howes and welcome to video number 7, Portfolio Tracker. And that's all about maximising rental returns, making it easy to refinance and reinvest. So your time's valuable. We appreciate that you've put aside time to watch our video series. We're at video number 7, of course 8 in the series. Feel free to watch them in any order, and of course make sure if you want to watch them in the best order possible, watch them from 1 through to 8. Okay, so we're now at the tracking part of the find, analyze and track process, and as we said at the start, it's all about optimizing the process, optimizing your performance from finding real estate through analyzing real estate, right through to tracking your portfolio as you build it and grow it over time. So we're going to look at the Portfolio Tracker briefly now. The Portfolio Tracker is a fantastic online tool we created that really helps our members to track and build and optimize their portfolios. I guess it comes down to a few simple things. When you invest in property, tracking and optimizing it becomes the challenge. The more property you buy, the more complexity there is, the more things going on, the more agents, managers, contractors, tenants, it can become a little bit overwhelming. So what are some strategies you can apply to boost the performance of your portfolio? Well, you can increase the rent, of course, with market movements. You can fix or refinance at better interest rates, and if you watch the property analyzer video, you would see the impact on an annual basis through managing interest rates can be, in excess of $10,000 a year on an average property. We can add value with subdivision, development, construction, and whether we construct and hold or construct and sell, we can obviously do either of those things. We can invest in multiple improvements that boost rent, from adding garages, air conditioning, heaters, security, fencing, extra rooms, all that kind of stuff. Of course, managing depreciation, understanding the impact of depreciation on the process, getting depreciation schedules done is important, and adding additional income streams through extra rooms, extra dwellings, that kind of stuff. So as we build our portfolio, we want to be able to revalue and reinvest easily, know where our equity is, know where we can draw it from, and make sure we keep our capital growth and cash flow balanced as well. So every $20 a week in rent adds up. If you're under renting a property by $20 a week, it's costing you, $1,000 a year out of your back pocket. So let's say you own 5 properties. The market rents $440 a week, but you choose to rent them out at about 10% less, and you only charge $400 a week. Well, that lost $40 on each property times 5 properties across the course of a year is going to cost you about $10,000 in lost cash flow. So that's quite critical as you build your portfolio, that you manage and optimize cash flow, and that you track capital growth, that kind of stuff. So managing the detail needs to be flexible and easy. Portfolio Tracker enables you to track 70 different aspects of each property's performance. So here's some snapshots of the Portfolio Tracker module that sits within the Real Estate Investor site. You can see here it's a tab-based tool, so from property to tenancy to cash flow to equity to portfolio, contacts, goals and gallery, it's very easy to track those parts of your portfolio. So in the property section, we can track details on where the property is located, its size and square meterage, beds, bathrooms, that kind of stuff. Under the tenancy section, we can track information on who our tenants are, the weekly rent, when their lease starts and ends, and when their next rent review is due. And that's really important, even if you're using a property manager, that you understand and manage this type of information so that you can hold to a property manager accountable. It's very easy for property managers to not plan for leases coming up to end, to not do rent reviews promptly, and again cost you through low occupancy and through lack of rental increases that should take place. In the cash flow section of the Portfolio Tracker, this is where we start to track the mortgage type, our interest rates, our monthly interest and principal costs. Portfolio Tracker automatically calculates your rent per square meter per annum, so kind of helpful if you want to track that kind of detail across the units or across commercial property. We can see where we can annualize and summarize our rates, body corp insurance, repairs, management costs, that kind of thing. You can see there down the bottom, we can then start to get a bit of a handle on pre-tax cash flow, depreciation, after-tax cash flow, with some taxation estimation. We can do a bit of after-tax cash flow forecasting and track the the yield against the original purchase price of the property and the yield against today's valuation. Once we get into the equity section of Portfolio Tracker, that's where we start to have a handle on what do we purchase the property for originally, when do we buy it, what's its current valuation, when did we last get it valued, what's our mortgage balance, who's our mortgage with. If we're on fixed interest rate periods, then of course again managing interest rates is important, so we can see when those interest rates are coming up for renewal, as we saw in the analyzer video. That the difference between paying 9% interest or 6% interest is quite substantial on the bottom line of our property portfolio. And we can see how many years we've owned each property, and of course it automatically calculates the average annual rate of capital growth, so that we can say, regardless of what we forecast, what's really happened here to make sure it all makes sense. When we get into the portfolio section, this is where this becomes quite useful when we're dealing with our banker or broker. We can use the email function to email them a snapshot of our portfolio, where they can easily see what's the valuation of the portfolio right now, what's our net equity, what's our loan to value ratio, and what's our debt servicing ratio, so that we can easily see, and they can see at a glance, whether we've got the equity and we've got the servicing to be able to do a new deal before we fill out a 4-page application form and go through that process. So that really helps us in that area there. We can see after-tax cash flow, capital growth, that kind of stuff, and total growth across the portfolio. We've got a contact section, which I'll just skip over, a simple goals section where you can set some financial goals for your property portfolio based around rental income, equity, cash flow, and things like that. And of course, we can upload a photo of our properties and make sure that we can keep a bit of a photo there, a bit of a photo album, and particularly if you've purchased property that you haven't seen before, that's kind of helpful. So Portfolio Tracker really allows you to maximize rental returns, identify and action poor performing property, track equity growth, make sure it's easy to refinance, reinvest, and make sure that you're financially intelligent because you understand the information, you have it at your fingertips. And as I said, it's really easy to then talk to your broker or banker about your current position. And our members use Portfolio Tracker to monitor in excess of $1.14 billion worth of property investments already. So that's Portfolio Tracker.